BBQ Central radio show will air live at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Hi, this is Scott Greenya from Fairfax, Vermont, also known as Scotty BQ, and you're listening to the BBQ Central Show.
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
All right, good evening and welcome to the really big BBQ Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things important to the world of barbecue and grilling, broadcasting live and direct from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. It is the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening. If you want to jump in on the show tonight, more than happy to have you. It's a phone call. 216-220-0966. You can also email the show if you would care to. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you didn't get the newsletter. Coming up, well, maybe for the balance of this segment and all of next segment, we'll see how it goes for now. A New York Times best-selling author twice, a Cleveland food scene writer extraordinaire, Doug Trattner, joining us for the first hour, believe it or not. Very excited to have him in. And then at 9:35, Doug will also be in for this one. The new standard fourth Tuesday of the month guest and an AmazingRibs.com employee and the keeper of the flame, Max Good, will be joining us. And then we move to the second hour. You would recall 2 weeks ago, after a summer of the breath of hell, 90 days plus degrees, day after day, week after week, rain nowhere to be found. 2 weeks ago, this very night at 10:14, the skies opened up, a tree fell over next door, and everything was ruined from that. When you have no internet and you're an internet show, without it, you're pretty much screwed. So the whole second hour ended up getting wiped out. But we have reloaded. One of the co-owners of the Proper Pig Smokehouse in Lakewood, Ohio, Shane Vidovic, will be joining us once again, weather permitting. And rounding out the show, coming out of the BBQ Central Show's bullpen, he is currently 5th overall KCBS Team of the Year. He is your current KCBS Ribs champion and the creator of the Gateway Drum Smoker. Pitmaster of Shake and Bake Barbecue, Tim Scheer, will be joining us. Oh, my. I don't know if you can call it a Cleveland-laden show. I mean, I'm Cleveland, Doug's Cleveland, Shane Vidovic is Cleveland. His co-owner, Ted DePosky, is Cleveland as well. So we're heavy on the Cleveland tonight. Forgive me for indulging a little bit. But, I mean, come on. We can rarely talk Cleveland barbecue anything, and tonight we're going to be doing it almost all of the show. So stay tuned for that. 216-220-0966. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Do me a favor. The show's on live right now. Blast off a Facebook post. Get on your Twitter. Get on the Instagrams, all that good stuff. Let them know the show's on. A couple different websites to send you. My website, of course, thebbqcentralshow.com. You can also watch the video stream, outdoorcookingchannel.com. If you have an Internet Protocol television device like a Roku or something along these lines, go to the App Store and search Outdoor Cooking Channel. If they have it, download it. You can watch this show right in blazing high definition from your 750-inch Samsung television that you have on your wall. Get it. Now, you would recall last week, actually 2 weeks ago, I got these incredible pair of shoes in from a company called Soul Kicks. It was actually two pairs. and it had BBQ Central Sho on one foot and a grill on the left foot, and then the other pair had the logo where if you put them together, you can read everything. Obviously, if you take your feet apart, they separate. And I sent 2 pairs, one to a guy in Columbus, one to a guy in Michigan. I would never send anything to Michigan on purpose, but we sent them off, and here's the deal. You should have gotten them yesterday. UPS said so. Please remember what we agreed on. You wear those shoes in public. You take pictures. You send them to me so I know you did what you said you were going to do. I know, very parent-like of me, but this was the agreement that we had. Otherwise, I was just going to keep them, and nobody has these shoes yet. I mean, they might be a bestseller coming up if I decide to release them into the shoe world. Shoes are very hot these days. Just ask the kiddos. Now, so, by the way, if you have these shoes, please do what you're told. All right, let me apologize for the late newsletter leading up to the show tonight, and also, and perhaps more importantly, the poorly written and highly misspelled newsletter. I was told this version of the email program that I use was going to catch all of the spelling errors that I make, because I just love, once I get in like a stream of consciousness, man, I'm just blasting off. I'm 2-finger typing like nobody's business. I expect a computer to catch my errors. I mean, that's what it is nowadays, right? No responsibility for anything anymore. Just ask the kids. It's everybody else's fault. Same thing goes for spelling and grammar for me. The computer didn't catch it, so I just hit send. Boom, it's out, and all of a sudden, I'm getting emails back going, oh, are you already drunk already? Or what is going on at 3:30? And I'm like, what do you want me to tell you? I pay for something. I expect a certain amount of service, or at least what it tells me. But thanks to the resident spelling Nazi, John Dawson from Patio Daddy-O Barbecue, he was there to screenshot, highlight, and point out every single mistake that was made on the newsletter. Thanks, John. Busting balls at the drop of a hat, John Dawson, absolutely. This past weekend, I did a steak cook, because finally, a weekend of no sports, as I was talking about. The weekend before that, we are going to do the whole big Art Flame cook deal, and then it was like the 7 days of rain that wouldn't stop, so we had to cancel that. But this past Saturday, I was able to do the steak cook that I was waiting for. This was not necessarily a comparison, but just trying 2 different rubs that I had gotten in from a couple different food bloggers. One from the spelling Nazi himself, John Dawson. This was the Kentucky Gentleman's seasoning for meat. So, the review here is this. By and large, good. The problem is it's not for sale anywhere, right? I mean, you just can't go out to the store and get it. A much wider range of flavor that kind of suits my palate. There was just a bit of, let's call it, muted sweetness from the dried whiskey that he has in that. John, how do you even do that, dry whiskey? I mean, you drank whiskey, you don't dry it. But nevertheless, it worked really well. And I'm not talking about sweet beef, because nobody hates sweet beef more than me. And this wasn't like a candy sweetness. It was just like a real deep, muted sweetness, and the spice blend or the spice block that he used in the rub overall, very complimentary to the steak that I had. I got it from Rudy's up in Eastlake, a prime rib steak. It was absolutely delicious, 1.5 inches thick as always. That's what I demand from my butchers when they carve my steak, at least 1.5 inches. Then the other rub was from Jess Pryles, the Hardcore Carnivore rub. And here's the deal. Right out of the jar, you have to get over the fact that this color is probably something you have never seen in a rub before. To sit there and look at a steak that hasn't been cooked, that is completely black, can be a little unnerving to the eyeballs if you haven't seen it. It's a activated charcoal-based rub. It's a little bit non-traditional looking. I mean, I admit it. But you can get over the visual. The flavor is actually really good. A little more of a saltiness to it, at least on my palate. So obviously it's going to work with the red meat situation. Both cooked to medium rare, as Meathead has told us time and time again. Medium rare steak is where you get your most juicy and delicious steak. Anybody that's ordering medium well or well, time for new friends, pal. Beat it. So you can get the Hardcore Carnivore rub, I believe at JessPryles.com. However, for Kentucky Gentlemen's, I mean, until John decides to bring it to market, John's in the chat room, by the way. So, John, please answer the assault of questions. What's there going to be? Are you going to bring it to market? Where can I get some? Where can I buy some? I want to be the next to try it, all that good stuff. You're welcome for that. So both, did very well. If I have to pick a winner, for me, Kentucky Gentlemen's wins, but Hardcore Carnivore isn't bad. I would put them both in my shelf. I would prefer the Kentucky Gentlemen's over Hardcore Carnivore. And as I said, if you're not used to seeing a black steak before it comes off the grill, you should never be used to seeing a black steak anyway, of course, even if it comes off the grill. But it can be potentially visually unnerving. All right, Doug Trattner will be interviewed. He's sitting patiently across the mirrors for me. He can't see me. That's always weird. Nevertheless, we'll talk to him about that here in a second. Let me talk to you quickly about the Chops Power Injector System, the NBBQA 2015 and 2016 Barbecue Tool of the Year. Each of their patent-pending Chops Power Injector Systems features not one, not two, but 4 needles evenly spaced at the distance, perfect for injecting. The number one seller is the half-gallon Chops Power Injector System, designed for competition or to pump up the backyard warrior. Easy to use, right? Clean it, fill it, pump it, and away you go. If you have just one brisket or pork shoulder to do, you don't need to fill it all the way up. Just put in what you need. It will use it all. It comes with 14-gauge needles, 2 replacement plastic needle adapters, 3 plug screws, and a needle protector, $100 plus shipping anywhere. Then you have the 1-gallon Chops Power Injector System, designed for catering and bigger jobs. It holds double the amount of the half-gallon injection system, which is why it's called the gallon injection system. Some use it in competitions, like when you're cooking MBN whole hog and 10 shoulders, just to get that perfect one. It comes with 14-gauge needles, 2 replacement plastic needle adapters, 3 plug screws, and a needle protector. This one, $120 plus shipping anywhere. Then the newest one, the Chops Full Power Injector System. It's electric. It's the commercial and competition Big Daddy. It's not a holding tank, but a 3.5-foot pickup tube that you can put in any size container, from a few ounces to a 55-gallon drum. It was originally designed for Chef Rob at the Best Barbecue restaurant in Kansas City. And he said time and time again that with the Chops Full Power Injector System, his briskets are better than ever. It comes with metal needle adapters, 14-gauge needles, 3-inch 12-gauge needles, 2-inch 11.5-gauge needles, 3 plug screws, and a needle protector. This one, $325 plus shipping anywhere. Here's the deal. A number of the top pitmasters in the world are using Chops Power Injector Systems every day to make their barbecue better than the rest. And it's not just for meat. How about an alcohol-infused watermelon for all you alcoholics? That's right, you can do it. Inject everything. The injectors, hand-assembled right there in Kansas City, Missouri, USA. If you want extra accessories, they got them. They got you covered completely. How about this? A way to make your Chops Power Injector System bulletproof. Metal needle adapters. You can get them. BarbecueKansasCity.com is the website. BARBEQUE. BarbecueKansasCity.com. They're also opening a restaurant here very shortly. You can watch Dan Uladal's progress on Facebook as well. But visit the website and get the Chops Power Injector System, because it gives your barbecue some power. That's right. All right, we are back with one Doug Trattner in studio. Rarely do we get a guest here on the Really Big Barbecue Show, but we are graced tonight. And we'll be back to chat with Doug here right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the BBQ Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by the Sam's Club National Barbecue Tour. 31 cities, $500,000 in cash, and eternal bragging rights if you win the whole damn thing. This weekend, the Sam's Club Tour rolling into North Charleston, South Carolina for the 3rd regional final to be taking place. To keep up with the Sam's Tour results and to see where the next event will be, you can visit the website kcbs.us/Sam's Tour. All right, sitting in studio for the first hour, a New York Times best-selling author. Also writing for Cleveland Scene, I think Eater as well. Not only one of the most accomplished food writers here in Cleveland, but would challenge anyone domestically, perhaps internationally as well. And he's right here in my studio. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Doug Trattner. Doug, how are you, buddy?
Awesome. Thanks for having me, man.
Man, I cannot believe you are actually in my studio. Here we are together. So it's got to be kind of weird for you. We meet up on Facebook a little bit, and we agree that we're going to go ahead and kind of do this, and maybe a story about me, maybe not a story about me. It's not, part and parcel, but so I'm always interested to get people's view of what I call the BBQ Central Sho compound. As somebody who, maybe you've heard the show before, maybe you haven't.
Sure.
I never assume anybody's ever heard the show. What are you thinking about coming here, and does expectation above or below what you thought you might see here?
No, I was fine until you locked that door behind me, and I was like,
especially here in Cleveland, right?
Am I ever getting out of here?
Yeah, basements in Cleveland, not very good, no doubt about it.
No, you can be honest with your listeners. I was stalking you, and when I first heard about this show and started listening to the show, and I'm like, why have I not been here? Why haven't I written about this guy? And when you kind of invited me out here, I was thrilled. And talk about meta. So I'm writing about you, but I'm on this show, and we're doing this live, and yeah, it's hard to wrap your head around.
Doug, a little background about, I guess, you personally, relationship with food. I mean, I think a lot of us foodies are foodies because we had parents that fostered that, brought us into the kitchen. I think there was probably a generation where that was actually lost on. So, a little background about you and how that kind of grows into the food writing thing.
Sure. No, it's a typical story. My mother was an awful cook. We ate out a lot. No, we joke. Like, she kept the sewing machine in the oven because she used neither of them. We ate out all the time, and I had we were fortunate to be able to eat out. I mean, we weren't eating out at fancy restaurants. I have 4 brothers. There was 5 of us. We were not rich by any means, but we ate out. And when you're a kid eating out, it doesn't matter if you're at McDonald's or Burger King or hopefully Olive Garden. It's a special occasion. And some of the best times of my life were, most of them, many of them, okay, all of them were at restaurants. Busting balls with your brothers at the restaurant and just being served and waited on. And so from early on, eating out was just some of my favorite memories. But as I got older, I got into cooking. When I moved away and I went to college, I got into cooking. And, food is... And it saved my life. I like to joke that I got into food writing the typical way, which is becoming a lawyer first. And I was a lawyer. I was a practicing lawyer for almost 7 years, and I was lucky enough to switch careers late in life. I traded in a very lucrative career as a public defender to become a writer. And I wake up every day, really being thankful that I'm doing something I love. And so, yeah, that's my story in a nutshell.
How long were you a lawyer for?
7 years.
And then you got into food writing after that?
Yeah, I moved to Cleveland from Columbus. I was down there for a long time. I'm from Cleveland, but I went down to Ohio State and then law school, and then I had my little starter marriage, and then I had a starter career, and then I moved to Cleveland. And, I just started doing really bit writing, little stuff for the Plain Dealer here, little stuff for Cleveland Free Times there, and, slowly, 15 years... cobbled together, a little writing career.
Do you think that all of the fun that you had back in the day at the restaurants and busting balls with brothers laid that groundwork for you to really see that, hey, I know I'm a lawyer and maybe I kind of like what I'm doing, but it's not where the passion is, and really the food thing is where the passion is, and now I'm going to drive towards that?
Oh, absolutely. And, and I worked in restaurants from, 13 years old all the way through law school. I mean, you name the job in a restaurant, I had it, from busboy to bartender to cook to, server. I did it, and I've done it for a very long time. And I approached this job from the point where, I get what these folks are going through. I get what it's like to work in a restaurant. I might not know what it's like to own a restaurant, but I certainly understand what goes on in a restaurant. And I approach this job with a sense of responsibility. When I'm reviewing a restaurant, I understand that these folks have worked very, very hard to get to this place. And people often, maybe say, what's the difference between what you do and what a blogger does? And, I think I bring perspective to this job and context and kind of a deep understanding of the business. I'm not saying people aren't going to disagree with me, but that's what I strive for every day when I visit a restaurant and I write about it.
So I have a long-standing invite to someone you have written best-selling books with, and the Centralites would never forgive me or let me live it down if I didn't ask you about Michael Symon.
Who?
He's an Iron Chef. You've written books with him. How does that relationship start? Always fascinated with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so like I said, I've been writing about food in Cleveland for 15 years, and one of those people that I certainly wrote about was Mike Symon. I was eating at Lola when it was still in Tremont, and it was a small restaurant, and Michael Symon was actually behind the line cooking food. I'm not saying he doesn't do that anymore. I'm just saying, 15 years ago things were different, and I was writing about him as I was writing about everybody else in this city. And as his career grew and as he opened new restaurants, I continued to write about them just as I wrote about every other restaurant in Cleveland. And when the time came for him to write a cookbook, and his publisher asked him, hey, you're probably going to need some help writing it. We call them ghostwriters. Look for a person who you think can kind of, that you can work with and has a writing style that you think would jive with your own. And, fortunately, that was me. I was the person he called, and we sat down, we had coffee, we chatted about the project, and I said, heck yeah. I had done one book project before that, and that was a guidebook to Cleveland. The first and only real kind of, guidebook to Cleveland. But it was a big project, and it really kind of, opened my eyes to what all is involved in this project and in a project like it. And so I said, hey, sign me up. And so we started the project, and, not soon after, and I'm talking Carnivore was our first book together, and it was a big, beefy chef book, the kind with like 3-page recipes and offal and intestines and, like really stuff, intense stuff. And while we were working on that project, he got the big job at the Chew, which kind of gobbled up some of his time, promoted me in a way. I started doing a lot more work than I ever imagined doing. The relationships really just kind of worked well together. We worked well together, and so yeah, that was book number 1. Book number 2 came soon after that. Book number 3, and we're about to start book number 4.
For us viewers at home, when it comes to Michael Symon, you see... Sorry, I had my mic off. For us viewers at home, when it comes to Michael Symon, you see an accomplished, knowledgeable, hardworking, personable guy on TV through the various networks he's airing on. Is he that guy in person, or is he a bit different when the red light is off? Oh, yeah.
It's funny. I think anybody who knows Mike knows that, that's him, maybe amped up a little bit, for just as you are when that red light goes on. You're still yourself, but you're a little, you're a production guy, or you're a radio guy, you're an internet guy. When it comes to personality, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to, work ethic and drive, he's the same. He's the same in person, on air and off air. We spoke a little before I started about just kind of the people he's always associated himself with, aligned himself with. He's got the same friends he's had all his life, and and that says a lot. Some people, as they approach, they get bigger and bigger in the world of fame. They tend to lose old friends, and that's not this guy. I go into restaurants every day of my life. My job is to go into restaurants, and I don't see turnover at his restaurants like I do at other restaurants, and that says a lot to me. He has installed a system from the top down that treats people well, pays them well, and they're happy to work for him. So that to me, that says a lot.
If he were just playing devil's advocate here, but if he was like an incredible dick, would you still write books for him because that's part of the job, or would you be able to delineate and say, hey, he's kind of a dick, I don't want to help this guy out? Or do you have to take the job because that's the job and that's what you do?
No, I can actually tell you that I was offered to write a book for a dick, and I said no.
Name him.
No, I will not do that. But so after Carnivore came out, and and thank God it was a New York Times bestseller, and now I'm officially a bestseller because Mike Symon had has the big heart that he does, and offered to put me on the cover when all he needed to do was thank me in the acknowledgments. I'm not saying it was a bestseller because of him and his content and his person. But so after that happened, I was approached by quite a few people who said, I want a book, and you're the guy to help me do it. And And what people don't understand, and honestly what I didn't understand before I really started the process, it's a relationship. I spent more time with Mike and his crew than I did with my wife sometimes. And, it's like a wedding photographer. This is a relationship where you're going to really have to work together a lot. And, when he's busy, I'm picking up the slack, vice versa. So when this other, a well-known Cleveland restaurateur approached me to do a book, and I sat down with him, and and I told him, hey, I'm interviewing you just like you're interviewing me. This is something I need to know. And the look washed over his eyes when he was like, what are you talking about? You're interviewing me. Like, he was doing me the biggest favor of even, thinking about me or considering me. And it got worse from there. I mean, it got a lot. And I said, you know what? This isn't going to work. And I said, thank you very much, but no.
Wow.
So long story short, long answer short. If he was a dick and I couldn't work with him, I wouldn't be working with him.
Doug Trattner joining me here in studio on the BBQ Central Show. His website, by the way, DouglasTrattner.com, TRATTNER, if you want to check it out here while we're talking. Mike, let's change gears a little bit. Doug, let's change gears here just a little bit. Talk to me about, for the people that don't know, the food scene in general here in Cleveland. Cleveland continues to have the same old jokes rehashed and rerun again. The river burns, and it's a mistake by the lake, and all this other stuff. And I think either you visit here and realize what a bunch of bullshit that is, or you live here and realize, hey, I've seen some of that stuff you've talked about. I've lived here since '86 or whatever. I've seen a lot of change. I've seen a lot of renovation and renaissance downtown and the outlying areas and the suburbs, and it's not like that. How do you see currently the food scene in Cleveland?
Well, I always say, I've been writing about food for 15 years, and you couldn't pick a better, at least I think, you couldn't pick a better 15 years, to own this beat. When I started writing, folks like Simon, were getting going, Simon and Small and Parker, and it was the birth of, we didn't know it at the time, we knew something special was happening, but, and to see, the next generation, the Sawyers and the Whalens and the Zach Brules and and then ad infinitum, right? So it kept going and it kept going, and those folks, they open new restaurants and they spawn, they train chefs who go out and open new restaurants, and it's one of those things where you're just like, you pinch yourself and you're like, only in hindsight you realize that your job for the last, 15 years has been timed so perfectly with, the content that you're writing about. And I've never been, I don't want to use the word star effort, but that's never been me. I've always appreciated these folks. I understand, I get the talent. And I do like being around the scene, but it's not the people. Some people kind of get wrapped up in the chefs, and not me. The ones I like, the ones I don't like, I don't like. They're people just like anything else. But if you don't come to Cleveland and dine out and have a wonderful experience, you're probably, not doing it right. When the RNC was here, and folks came to see Cleveland for the first time personally, events like that and the Cavs, the finals, and I think people are starting to understand that, we're not just another flyover zone. There's stuff happening here. There's incredible neighborhoods with incredible restaurants, incredible, stores, and it's a fun time to be here in Cleveland because, I grew up here and I'm not young, and I remember all those jokes and all there really wasn't much to be proud of, and these days there's no shortage of things to be proud of.
Let's talk about the barbecue scene here in Cleveland. We got a couple minutes here left in the segment, and I think two places in specific have moved this conversation to a whole different level, and well-deserved height, by the way. That being the Proper Pig in Lakewood, who we're actually going to have on the second hour, and Mabel's Barbecue downtown on East 4th. As someone who works here in Cleveland, is now seeing the rise of barbecue popularity here, is that a fair assessment for me to make, putting the responsibility of barbecue bar raising on these two particular restaurants?
Well, and not only do you have to, you should, and thank God, for these, you know better than I do. You're being nice to me by even asking me the question, but, aren't we lucky that the first, few ones that did open up are doing it right, and they're teaching people what real barbecue is all about. If somebody came in and slapped something together and said they were the second coming of barbecue and were awful, they would do a disservice to the entire barbecue community. The fact that Michael Symon came in and is doing it right, the fact that the Proper Pig guys came in and doing it right, and now everyone is obsessed with barbecue and they're getting an idea of what good barbecue is. I grew up eating, I like to call them chicken and rib joints. They're delicious food. It's good ribs, it's good chicken, but it ain't often real barbecue. And unless you've been to Texas or these days Brooklyn or down south and you've had it, then you don't know, that you shouldn't be able to pull a rib bone out like a loose tooth. And no, thank God for these guys, because they are doing it right, and I think they knew they had a responsibility. At least I know Mike Symon knew he had a responsibility. I think and that's one of the things that sets him apart from people who have at his level. He feels more of a responsibility than other people, because he knows people are going to think he's phoning it in. They know he's going to, he knows they're going to think that he's going to try to cheat or cash in or sign, whatever. And that's why he works doubly hard to get it right. And the fact that they're getting it right is laying the groundwork for others who are going to come in and hopefully follow in their footsteps.
Doug, let me ask you to put on your professional restaurant reviewer hat here just for a second. In your opinion, how do Mabel's and Proper Pig compare, and how do they contrast?
Well, I love that these are the two first restaurants that opened, because they are so different in ways that I don't want to say don't matter, but like when it comes to the food, they're both doing it right. We know that this is science, this is technique. You start with good meat, you do very little to it, you get out of the way, you let science, heat, and smoke do the rest. But in terms of the whole experience, Mabel's, hey, it's downtown, it's East 4th Street, it's Michael Symon. It's got to be, it's a little pricey, a little pricier, a little fancier. It's a full service restaurant with a full bar, and that's what the market demands down there. Proper Pig is, the kind of place you'd hit down south or out west. It's very casual. You walk up, you place your order, communal seating. You don't have the full bar, but you can still have a cold beer. And I love that, because that's barbecue. Not only is the food different from region to region, but barbecue restaurants are different from place to place. And that's the beauty of eating out. That's the beauty of travel. That's the beauty of barbecue. There is no one perfect place.
Who's your favorite barbecue celebrity?
Well, I was lucky enough to go down and do the barbecue U with Steve Rakeland. It was a special experience, getting to go down to the Greenbrier and doing that whole class with him. And he'll always have a special place in my heart. But I got the chance to meet Billy Durney at Hometown. I was in New York, and we don't have a lot of wonderful barbecue restaurants, and we did not have a lot of wonderful barbecue restaurants in Cleveland, a year ago. And so I was going to New York, and they do have some good ones there. And I asked Mike, hey, where should I go? And he said, go out to see Billy Durney at Hometown. It'll change your life. And sure enough, it did. It was an experience that really kind of opened my eyes to. Maybe you call it modern barbecue. Maybe you call it, this is what people are doing these days. And I got to meet him, and he's a special guy. And so I would say right now, Billy Durney is my barbecue hero.
If you had to pick chickens or bees, which one would you choose?
Well, you know that I have both. I keep chickens and I keep bees. The chickens are so much easier, and they lay eggs. The bees are really complicated, but they give you honey. So, I don't know. It's a toss-up.
All right. Doug Trattner joining me here on the show, and as segments permit, we'll go ahead and rekindle conversation. I have a terribly good feeling that Doug will be in studio now that he's in studio. Maybe more than once. Or he's going to be running away screaming. Either one could happen. Max Good coming up out of the breaks. But first, let me talk to you quickly about Cook Shack. Cook Shack manufactures smoker ovens for barbecue lovers with any amount of cooking experience, whether you barbecue in the backyard or on the competition circuit or in a 5-star dining facility. Cook Shack has a unit that will do the job. And with a full line of barbecue sauces, spices, pellets, and wood chunks, it's the perfect one-stop shop. Cook Shack strives to be your barbecue resource center by offering cooking classes, online recipes, how-to videos, 2 blogs, a smoking and grilling 101 class, and a video cooking classroom. Check out their website, cookshack.com, or follow them on these social media platforms, Instagrams, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, and the Google Pluses. Get advice or share your passion for barbecue on their world-class barbecue forum. Cook Shack pellet-fired smokers are the choice of champions because they were designed by a champion. Ed Fast Eddie Morin, the FEC 100 and PG 1000 are always customer favorites, and the PG 1000 can double as a smoker or grill, low and slow or hot and fast. The pellet grill line gives you the most for your money. Cook Shack residential electric smokers are the #1 smoker in the industry. High quality means high durability and versatility. Anything you can cook in the oven, you can cook on a Cook Shack. Passion and dedication drives Cook Shack's manufacturing, with quality always being a top priority. Get the best in barbecue since 1962. Call them 800-423-0698 or visit the website cookshack.com. Always happy to have the good folks at Cook Shack supporting the show. So check them out if you're in the market. By the way, the electric smoker, a absolute beast of a jerky making machine. If you love homemade jerky, oh my God. The Smokehead is the one you want to look at. Cookshack.com. All right, we are back with Max Good from AmazingRibs.com. Doug Trattner sitting in as well. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Smoke. Call 877-448-0433 to get on the air. Now, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Green Mountain Grills, manufacturers of some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today. If you're looking for a big cooker to house a lot of food because you got a big family or whatever, they got one for you. Medium size, they got you covered there. Something to take on tailgates or camping, they got you covered there too. Also, they can supply you with those wood pellets to fire those cookers. Check them out online, greenmountaingrills.com. That's greenmountaingrills.com. I love my Green Mountain Grill. You could love your Green Mountain Grill as well. Doug Trattner joining me here on the show. Doug, thanks for hanging out this evening.
Bourbon.
And here he comes. You know him as the new fourth Tuesday. Man, if there's 4 Tuesdays in the month, you know this guy's bringing in the 4th Tuesday. The keeper of the flame at AmazingRibs.com, Max Good, joins me here on the show. Max, how are you, buddy? Max, I can't hear you. Uh-oh. Unmute yourself. Nothing? Got nothing. And now we found our error. I'm going to call you right back. You can hear me, right, Doug?
I can hear you good. You're stuck with me, man.
No internet between us, just computer screen separating. It's weird.
Technology.
I remember hearing stuff on that. Let's see what happens. You get to see everything happen tonight.
Hey, it's
the good and the bad.
It's real life, man. It's real life with computer thrown in.
Max. No, not hear you. Something's awry. All right, hold on a second. Do I have anything on mute? No. Your line is up. I got a great way to test this. I know Doug's good. Let me find. If this plays, it's not on mine. You can hear that, right, Doug?
Oh, yeah.
Max, I have bad news. It's on your end. However, much like the perceived expert I am, I can offer no advice. Is it? Do you have your mic muted, Max, on accident, or is it up, or is your computer not a Dell or an Apple? You probably got an Apple too, right? Yeah. Well, it's not good. All right, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to leave your level up. If you pop in, then we're just going to go ahead and take you. Otherwise, I'm going to transfer back over here to Mr. Doug, because Doug can hear me.
No problems over here.
Let me get your screen back up here, Doug. So we were talking about Cleveland-style barbecue.
Yeah.
And here's the question. I was rapidly running out of time, so Michael, well, let me ask you this. Do you see quality, I'm doing air quotes that you can't see, here they are, quality barbecue here in Cleveland as something of a fad or flash in the pan, or do you think this is something that will really root down and take a hold?
I think absolutely it's going to root down and take a hold. I think, there are so many folks like you who have been doing it for so long in their backyards. Think about the brewers. Think about the home brewers who have been doing it for so long and making a product that is as good or better than you were able to buy outside. And barbecue, I feel like, is the same way. There are plenty of people who are doing a great job and are just dying, chomping at the bit, as they say, to open up a place. And folks like, Proper Pig, and Mabel's, and hopefully Woodstock. I haven't eaten there, so this is not a personal testimonial, but I like what he's doing, and I like the look of the shop in Lakewood. These folks are going to give them confidence. And, for talk about, like, too many barbecue joints, you guys are just being plain old stupid. We have 3, 4, maybe 5, if, depending on how you classify them. We are just getting started, and I hope we're just getting started, because this is good food. This is tasty food. This is barbecue. There's no such thing as too much good barbecue. So I'm hoping that folks, will look at these restaurants and go, okay, they're making it. People are standing in line to go eat at Proper Pig. They are running out of food every single day, at these places. So hopefully this is just the start, and other people look at them and go, you know what? I'm gonna bite the bullet, take the chance, take the risk, and do something. And like we said before, it certainly doesn't have to be Mabel's. It barely has to be Proper Pig. It could be, a delicious little food truck. It could be a garage. It could be, it doesn't have to be in Cleveland. It could be, on the east side. It could be in Collinwood. It could be in Cleveland Heights. Please be in Cleveland Heights. So yeah, I hope this is just the beginning.
Michael Simon has said that Mabel's is Cleveland-style barbecue. And I did an interview with Daniel Vaughn from Texas Monthly a few months back when he was up here. He tried out both locations. I met him actually at Proper Pig, but we did an on-site interview after the fact at Proper Pig. And he said that there cannot be a Cleveland-style barbecue yet. There's been no history to pull from, so it's much too young to have a style per se. Is that a position that you agree or disagree with?
I get what he's saying. I mean, come on, this is Daniel Vaughn. He is the barbecue expert, and, he's coming from a place in Texas where, history, geez, it's like they were barbecuing before there was paper and pen. No, Cleveland does not have the barbecue history that other regions do, and that's a shame, and that sucks for us, right, growing up. But that doesn't mean that there can't be a Cleveland-style barbecue. Every place that barbecues, right, uses local product. If you're in Texas, it's Post Oak. If you're down south, it's someone else. Here in Northeast Ohio, we use Fruitwoods. We have cherry. We have apple. We have plenty of orchards that are you use what you have. And if it means maybe mixing up the spice rub to kind of approximate the pastrami that we've grown up with, or the corned beef that we've grown up with, it's using stadium mustard as opposed to yellow mustard or different. It's Cleveland style. First of all, it'll evolve. But second of all, every style, every regional cuisine starts with what you've got and making use with what is here and and handy and accessible. And that's what Mike is doing. It'll shift, it'll evolve, but hopefully it's a start.
We had talked about this a little bit prior to. I gotta remember to turn my mic on. We talked about this a little bit before, jumping down here on the air, which is the cost of barbecue when you go to a real barbecue place and they're using quality meat and quality rubs and all this other stuff. Inevitably, if you're used to eating the chain crap, you're going to see what I would call like sticker shock. You're going to see $38 for a rib, or you're going to see $30 for a slab of ribs and not 17, so on and so forth. Is this something that you think the general consuming public, whether it be here in Cleveland or somewhere else that just isn't used to seeing or having the good barbecue, eventually will adjust? Or is that a hurdle that as a business you're going to have to figure out how to overcome?
Well, first of all, I don't think it's a hurdle yet, because both those folks who are putting out quality barbecue are selling out. So it hasn't been a hurdle yet. But yes, to answer your question, there's sticker shock. People, I read Yelp reviews, I hear comments. These people may or may not have even eaten there. They're just looking at a menu online. Meat's expensive. Good meat's really expensive, and of course there's going to be sticker shock, and people don't understand that. This food is expensive food. It's labor intensive. It's equipment intensive. It's expensive to make, and so I think like I said, it's nice that we have two very different barbecue restaurants that people are talking about right now. Proper Pig is a very different operation than Mabel's, and vice versa. So people can get two very different examples of what's available, and of course everything in between, and even outside those parameters. So yeah, I think people are going to have to get used to the fact that barbecue isn't cheap, and it shouldn't be cheap. I don't want to eat cheap meat. If it's cheap, I'm guessing it's probably not good.
Doug, let me ask you, you had mentioned Yelp or the online stuff. As somebody who has seen probably when it wasn't nearly as pervasive when you first started to where you're at today, I mean, everybody's a freaking food critic and a reviewer and an expert and all this other crap. How good is it to have instant access to everything, and how bad is it to have instant access to everything?
Well, I think I hope that people are smart enough when they read these things to understand that, I don't know, take it all in and make your own opinion. Personally, I hope that people wouldn't really pass judgment without actually personally experiencing anything. I know I wouldn't do that, but I also know that, we rely on online reviews to kind of make our initial decision on where to go, and that's absolutely fine. And it's pretty easy to read through a lot of these reviews, both the glowing reviews and the slamming, the troll-like reviews, and kind of take them all in. But you can also, if you know enough about a cuisine or a style or a place, you can read through the ones that don't know what they're talking about either. Everyone's a critic, right? But that doesn't mean everyone should take every review as the truth of the spoken word. So just take it all in, take it with a grain of salt. Go to the place, experience it yourself, and be your own judge.
In regards to cookers, you're a backyard guy, more or less like me. I mean, certainly you're eating. And how many restaurants are you eating in during a week? I guess when you hear somebody that's a food critic or is writing for food for a particular publication, you fancy them eating out 7 and 10 days a week and all this other crap. Like, what is it really like in your world?
So I'll do one restaurant review every week for 15 years. And you throw in some food features in there as well, but I'm also doing, blog posts and news feed, news updates and all this stuff. And so I'm easily eating out, typically 2 or 3 lunches a week and 2 and 3 dinners a week.
Is that something that you have corporate card for, or do you have to turn those in, or are you like public or independent contractor and you do that against your tax type thing? How does that work?
Are we getting into my financial records?
Yes. How much are you making a year, Doug?
I am not running for president. No, it's an interesting system, and it's a system that I've grown up with over 15 years, and I've made it work for me. No, I don't. Here's my rule. I don't accept free food. Never have. I pay my own way. Always do. Ask anybody. I am not the guy that goes in there and demands a damn thing. I eat out. If I can sneak in and sneak out, that's what I always try to do. The restaurant I just came at from before I met you, I did my best to sneak in and take a quick jog to the bar and hope I wouldn't get noticed. That's, people don't, at least I don't like being fawned over. I hate it. If I could be left alone in a corner, that's my happy place. So yeah.
Is there a lot more of guys not like you than guys like you, or do you find by and large your colleagues are more in the thought process that you are?
You know, that's interesting because I feel like there are very few people like me doing what I do these days in Cleveland, in a market that is ripe for food coverage. And it's because, you could say that, the paper's dying or journalism is dying or whatever. But the truth is, they're dying because they're dinosaurs. They're doing it a very different way. And we could talk about reviews, but we can also talk about kind of like the newsy stuff. And, who's writing about restaurant openings? Who's writing about restaurant closing? Who's writing about the latest thing? And there's only one way to find out that kind of stuff, and that's by going out and being out and talking to these people day in and day out. And that's what I do, because it's what I love. It's not a job. Some of these old timers, they're in bed by 6:30. It's how I got my job. When I started doing this, I was doing bar reviews because bars don't get going until 10 or 11 at night, and a union plain dealer person isn't going to go at 10 or 11 at night and work. They're going to try to get someone on the phone at noon and end up writing a crappy story. So that's how I grew up. That's how and I say grew up. That's I came to this is a second career, so it's still fun and fresh and new to me. So I attack it with the same vigor I did 15 years ago.
Doug Trattner joining me here in studio on the BBQ Central Show and enjoying the conversation. Doug, hang with me here as I do a final read for the hour, and then we'll get you headed back home. Let me talk to you quickly about the longest-running sponsor of the show. Located in Warminster, Pennsylvania, the Barbecue Guru. Gang, if you've been thinking about automatic pit temperature control devices for your cookers, stop here. This is the company that started it all. They are the creators of this technology. Why are you going to buy from any other company? I don't know. If you're not familiar with how these little beauties work, I don't get into the minutia here, but imagine a product that allows you to set your pit temperature control, and one set keeps it running at that temperature all the way through the cook. So, sound too good to be true? It's not. It's real life. You can take advantage of this technology today because, hey, maybe you're a busy working professional like me or Doug or whoever, and quite frankly, you just don't have that time to sit around and tend your barbecue pit temperatures. The Guru allows you to throw on a pork butt or a brisket or a couple slabs of ribs, or if your cooker's big enough, all of that, and then you're off to do whatever it is you need to get done. And the Guru maintains that pit temperature you set it at. There's currently a number of different models to choose from. The ones that I like the best. If you're, Mr. Connectivity, Mr. Wi-Fi, Mr. Gotta have all the technology, CyberQ Wi-Fi is the one you want to be at. You can control up to 2 separate cookers. You can get all the internal temperatures of your meat. You can just roll out of bed. You don't even have to get out of bed. Just pick up your phone, connect to the device, see where your temperatures are at. If you're cooking too fast, you can make adjustments right from your phone or your tablet. You can ramp the temperature down. If you're going too slow, ramp that temperature up. It takes care of everything. Once you hit target temp, it turns that whole cooker into a holding chamber so you're not going to overcook the meat. It's absolutely fabulous. On the other end of the spectrum, Party Q, right? $149. It fits on the kettle-style cookers, the bullet-style cookers, the ceramic-style cookers, and it's a self-contained unit. Runs on AA batteries, affectionately known as the hooker of automatic pit temperature control devices because it goes from cooker to cooker to cooker. Very easy. It's the cruise control, if you will. Set the temperature. Boom, you're off and running. It's great. Here's what you need to do. Go to the Barbecue Guru's website, thebbqguru.com. Check out their products. If you have any questions about what to order, call them directly. 800-288-GURU. Don't guess. Call and ask. They'll make sure you're outfitted with exactly what you need to get you up and running right out of the box. Again, 800-288-GURU or thebbqguru.com. The Barbecue Guru continues to be a breakthrough in barbecue technology. All right, we're going to wrap up with Doug here and then move to the second hour. You're listening and watching the BBQ Central Show right here on the BBQ Central Network. Stick around. We'll be right back.
big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the BBQ Central Show.
All right, welcome back. Just getting towards the top of the hour. And, of course, Doug Trattner joining me here on the show. All right, Doug, we're going to chase you out of here. Quick summary thoughts as the professional you are. Ready to come back again at some point? Ready to just run away and pretend like this never happened? What do you think?
Oh, I could do this every week, man. As long as you're pouring the bourbon, I'm coming.
Your thoughts on how good Max Good was from AmazingRibs.com?
You know, he's quiet. I like that about him.
This guy, a man of very few words, but man, when he talks, people listen.
Yeah.
He just had an incredible. Here's the thing, like you were just talking about. You didn't know anything about this show for like 6-7 years or whatever it is. And here's a guy on AmazingRibs.com. He just had an article written on casual living about him and what he does with the website. So, I mean, it's either going to happen or it's not, right?
Isn't that redundant? Barbecue and casual living? I mean, like, right, like that's what you do.
This is your yearly redundancy story brought to you by John.
No, this has been really, really fun and incredible.
All right, so I am going to release Doug from the compound here. We will reload for the second hour. Doug, anything you want to promote or pimp before you head out?
No, you know, it's funny that like all this talk about barbecue, and I told you, you know, one of the reasons I tracked you down and found you was because obviously, you know, barbecue was happening in Cleveland finally, and Mike Simon and I are going to start another book very shortly here. It's going to be our 4th one together, his 5th one overall, and believe it or not, barbecue will be a part of that book.
So I'm getting instant chats saying, is Doug going to be able to hook you up with Mike Simon finally because you don't have the pull to get him yourself?
Yeah. I certainly don't have the pull either.
No,
but I am going to tell him that this is, and I said it when I met you, man. Why hasn't Mike been on the show? No, he's. I'm going to do everything I can to make that connection happen.
All right, so we will hold you to that, and then, we'll hook it up again whenever you want to come in. You got an open invitation. Love to sit down and just talk food and barbecue in general. We will head to the second hour. This is Doug Trattner. Thanks for coming in, buddy, and we will be right back on the BBQ Central Show. Stick around. We will be, as I just said, right back. Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine, how you doing?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 2 feet or wiener.
But listen, Liberty, it's a sex feast.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
All right, just like that, we are into the second hour. Oof. Yeah, I saw John's comment.
Hello, everybody. This is
here
Gary
we go.
Vaynerchuk,
Gary
host
Vaynerchuk.
of Wine Library TV, a.k.a. WLTV, the #1 wine show
Is this better?
on the internet. And
Yeah.
this is BBQ
Yeah, BBQ.
Central.
Is this color better, John? You're the white balance guy. I don't know what happened. 2 weeks ago, man, my color was impeccable. Now it's not good. Not only is it not good, it's not good. Yeah, why? What happened? What do I need to do? More white? Is this better? I'm in the damn whatchamacallit here, and it's just... You get these high-definition cameras, and you expect them to be great, and in the end, yeah, not so great.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Oh, that's what the problem. It's still here. The other microphone. You guys can't hear that, but I can hear everything that happens. So, that was Doug Trattner, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. New York Times best-selling author, lives here in Cleveland. Rarely can you use the terms New York Times bestseller and Cleveland in the same sentence. However, you can do it. In this particular case, I would love your feedback. By the way, what happened to Max Good? Gone.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Really? That's the one? Oh, wait, I can fix that. Hold on. How's that? Oh, it looked better just for a second, and then it stopped. I can't turn all the lights off. Is that better? I turned 50% of that light off. That doesn't look any better. Oh, God. It's just horrific to look at.
Get that big stuff out of here.
See, that looks good. And then you see where it looks good and then it goes away? God, it's so annoying. God, I hate this. I hate this part of the job. How about this? Does that look better? That's got to look better, right? Absolutely. Jeez, oh, Pete. I don't even know how to fix it. Whatever. All right, so you give me your thoughts on Doug Trattner. Well, yeah, I don't have any hair on my head, right? But I think it's the overall... I mean, it's just a horrible color. I used to look really good. If you go back on YouTube 2 or 3 weeks ago, the color of this show was just balls. It was awesome. Email, hi, Greg. It's Dan from across the street. What? Just want to compliment you on your guest tonight. I hear him on WMJI Magic 106.5 all the time. He's very interesting. Dan, shout out to Dan, my across-the-street neighbor. In a terrible moment of my ego's too big, I don't remember telling Dan that I actually had an internet show at all. Dan, thank you for listening. That's awesome. If you see me in the street tomorrow, Dan, give me a shout-out. And I'll let you come down into the basement. You can pick out 10 or 15 bottles of barbecue sauce. I got 50. That's fine. Yeah, that's right. Doug Trattner does a weekly segment on a on a real radio show.
Did you see what I'm talking about here? That Doug Trattner is on the real radio. You sit there in your basement and you're twiddling your thumbs with your internets. And here's the problem. You sit down on a real radio. If a tree falls down, the station doesn't go away. 2 weeks ago, you were down and without anything to do. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, mister. You should be on the real radio yourself. Instead, Mr. Trattner's on there. What are you doing in the basement, son? Go to work. Go to work.
That's my mom. Showing up huge. There go the earphones. God forbid I need those. All right. Yeah, I know. That's the problem. I have my white balance on my camera set to auto match. Even more frustrating. Here's the idea. Let me do this. I'm going to go to the settings situation. Go to advanced. Go to white balance. Take it off auto. Oh, that looked better. Oh, that's better, right? Is that better? Does that look better? I think that looks better. That looks balls. Look tan. You should use 5000K color temperature lights. I don't even know what the hell that means, but I'm going to check it out. Blake, my mom can be a little tough. When the time is known, she can be... One thing I knew growing up, Blake, my mom was not going to sugarcoat anything. She was giving it to me both barrels. No doubt. That's why we used to call her the assassin. I'm telling you, I told Doug Trattner, man, I apologize in advance because it is going to be one hot mess down here in the studio. And he is leaving as it is probably approaching 750 degrees in the studio. Still to come on the show tonight, Shane Vidovic from Proper Pig will be joining me. And we'll be closing the show out with Tim Scheer from Shake and Bake Barbecue. The Sam's Club National Barbecue Tour rolled into South Windsor, Connecticut this past weekend. This was a local qualifier that feeds the North Charleston, South Carolina regional final. And the top 6 teams moving on to that regional final are in particular order: Grand Champion, That's Our Cue, 685.6. Reserve Grand Champ, Low and Slow Barbecue, 681.6. Number 3, Insane Swine Barbecue. Number 4, El Jefe, which means the Jeff Smoke. El Jefe Smoke, 674.8. It might not also mean El Jefe, but my buddy's name was Jeff, and his name was Jefe in Spanish, so El Jefe is the Jeff. Nevertheless, I digress. Number 5, Feeding Friends, 673.6, and rounding out the top 6, and the last spot, moving on to North Charleston, South Carolina Regional, Pork Butt Paradise with a 673. We always love to take a look at the discrepancies between 1 and 2. 4 points, almost exactly, so a pretty dominating performance from That's Our Cue. And then from 1 to 6, a nice 12.6 or 12.5 point spread between That's Our Cue and Pork Butt Paradise. The next Sam's Club stop is this coming weekend, 8/27, or August 27th, for the people that don't know how to read calendars by number. That, again, will be in North Charleston, South Carolina, and good luck to all those competing. Remember, in a regional final, 10 teams move on to the Bentonville, Arkansas actual finals. So you have something to look forward to in that regard as well. Max Good emailing in saying he just has no idea what the hell is going on. I don't either. I have no idea what's happening. When the sound comes through that one particular pipe here, I'm good to go. The easy way to find out if it's really on my end or it isn't is by getting to my next guest, Shane Vidovic, which we will be doing here in just a couple minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to talk to you about Big Papa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for anyone interested in barbecue, featuring a comprehensive selection of all American-made grills, spices, sauces, accessories, even a kit that gives you everything you need to make a world-class smoker out of a 55-gallon drum. Big Papa Smokers has made a name for itself in recent years by making an award-winning line of championship rubs. The rubs have won almost every major barbecue competition, period. BPS has also banded together with fellow California-based rub company Simply Marvelous Barbecue to form what has now become known as the West Coast Offense. Defying conventional wisdom, these two California-based rub makers have cornered the market on competitive barbecue, begun to redefine the flavor profiles that competitive cooks from across the country have begun to aim for. They've even created two of their own unique competitions, King of the Smoker, which brings the best of the best in a barbecue head-to-head, and a back-to-basics competition. King of the Smoker unique in the fact that contestants may not use any electric devices such as pellet cookers or pit minders. Contestants are just allowed to use charcoal, wood, and their wits to win one of the most high-stakes barbecue competitions around. The other competition, known as the Guinea Pig, which is a cost-controlled competition that helps bring in newcomers to competitive barbecue. It also features prize distribution all the way down to 10th place in each category, which helps provide incentive to get new competitors into the world of barbecue. However, while we talk about new competitors getting into and rewarding them, the top teams in KCBS and any sanctioning body are trying to get in to the Guinea Pig. On top of all that, Big Papa's has created a unique brand ambassador program called the BPS Elite Team, featuring 15 of the best competition teams in the country working together to promote camaraderie, competition barbecue, and to benefit children's charities across the U.S. Keep in mind, Big Papa's has been able to do all of this with only 6 years of being in the biz, turning competition barbecue on its head, creating a unique competition or competitions, becoming a staple of a nationwide restaurant chain, and benefiting children's charities across the U.S. It's just the beginning for Big Papa Smokers. The website, bigpapasmokers.com. That's bigpapasmokers.com. I think I'm a little too hot. I'm going to adjust. All right. We are back with Shane Vidovic. We keep it Cleveland-oriented. You don't like it? Suck it. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the BBQ Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Cookin' Pellets. That's right, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. Visit cookinpellets.com for more information or to purchase. You can also visit amazon.com to purchase as well. Either way you want. You tell me. Cookinpellets.com or Amazon. Who's heard of Amazon, by the way? This must be some upstart. All right, this segment of the show. Hold on a second. My first guest in the second hour, co-owner of a barbecue restaurant here on the west side of Cleveland. We talked about it at length here over the first hour. And did the unthinkable. They happened to open within a few hours, literally, of Mabel's Barbecue, Simon's Joint. Never missed a beat. Here to talk about the success they have had early on as they are out of the gates and rounding that first lap. Co-owner of the Proper Pig Smokehouse, Shane Vidovic, joining me. Shane, what's up, buddy? How are you?
I am doing well.
All right. So, I mean, I have sound on you, so, I mean, that's a good thing. I mean, I didn't know between Max Good and Doug being in studio, I have the wrong background up, but give me a second. It'll change here. I promise. All right. So, let's catch up. A very brief recap, if you could, Shane, of, you know, why you guys came into Cleveland looking to bring barbecue, but I guess specifically Texas-style barbecue, and from a food truck to boot.
Well, just from we were a couple corporate guys, and we traveled all around the country.
Shane, hold on. I'm getting indiscriminate bits and pieces here. Let me call you right back and see if we got a better connection.
Sure.
All right, hold on. I mean, I have them, but I don't. Otherwise, it's got to be phone. I would call the phone. I would call the phone, Jimmy. Let's see.
You there, Greg?
Ooh, that sounds way better. Look at you.
Yeah.
You're the man. Would you turn the video off?
Yeah, I turned it. Didn't even come up. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
that's fine. So again, go ahead and give me a little recap.
Barbecue money, so we can handle good production value over here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right. So again, give me the brief recap of going into barbecue food truck, and then style wise, Texas style barbecue.
So yeah, we're a couple corporate guys, a couple of corporate schlubs, running around the country, traveling for our job, and we tried barbecue all different parts of the country. And Texas kind of stuck with us because we felt like it was simple. It concentrated a lot on how like the natural taste of the meat, the smoke, stuff like that. We loved a real aggressive rub because you went to eat at a lot of barbecue places around Cleveland, and it was just like eating roast beef or whatever. There was no like seasoning to it, no taste, or they'd smother everything in barbecue sauce, and that's not what we were looking for. We figured there was something else out there, and actually we ate at Aaron Franklin's place, and we were like, holy cow, this is what barbecue should taste like. It was like an epiphany at that point,
So did you think that it could? So here's the, you love it. You're down in Austin. Everybody loves it down there. Do you immediately think to yourself, this is something that's going to be able to assimilate back into Cleveland?
No, actually, we didn't think about that at all when we actually decided to even make the food truck. All we wanted to do is make a little bit extra money, take our families on vacation and stuff like that. So the real goal was never really to even open a restaurant or do anything like that. It kind of, we figured we'd just work our regular jobs forever, and then we'd start a food truck, and hopefully it made a little extra money, and we could hang out and drink beers, stuff like that on the weekend, and it just kind of snowballed into what it is today,
And a wild success. I mean, everybody was talking about whether you were advertising on radio stations or not. You were always hearing about the Proper Pig food truck. You were showing up at all the right places. You're doing the Cleveland Flea every so often. I mean, it was an absolute marketing stroke of genius that you and Ted do. So at some point, and by the way, Ted Duposky is your co-owner and buddy. I mean,
my partner in crime, my oldest friend.
That's right. And if you look over your pictures and all this stuff, I mean, you see a lot of people that you see in the restaurant today, you probably have some type of relationship with, by and large, for probably a number of years, correct?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Do you and Ted have any kind of ongoing talk or discussion about, all right, Shane, well, once we do this to a certain degree, we should probably look at a restaurant? Or did that conversation really never take place? And if it never did, like, how does that even come up? That's a huge leap.
It was never a talk at the beginning. The food truck, even like I said, was just supposed to be for kind of like fun and some extra money. But as the food truck started to make more money, Ted was able to quit his regular job, and we were like, okay, this could be, people like the food. This could be something that we could pay the bills with. So after a full-time year at the food truck, we were like, wow, we had a surplus of money at the end of the year, and we saw that we weren't capitalizing on a lot of the catering we could, and a lot of jobs that we could do, and we weren't even advertising that much because I was still working full time, and it was hard to do everything. And then finally we were like, we have a little extra cash, we might as well reinvest it in the business, and we opened this restaurant. We were hoping just to like break even and then make some money off catering in the truck, and it became like a phenomenon. We opened the first day and the lines all the way around the corner. We never really expected to be anywhere near where we're at now, and it's just, everything's happened kind of organically, which is, I think that's the best way for it to happen. We didn't want to try to force stuff down people's throat. You know what I mean? It's kind of, we try not to think about it too much because we hope that it doesn't end anytime soon.
When you are seeing the success with the food truck, you decide that you're going to go ahead and make the leap to brick and mortar restaurant. How do you go about choosing that location? I mean, you end up in Lakewood, but were there any other spots that you were considering?
Yeah,
or was
we
this the best?
actually had another spot in a suburb, Fairview Park, and the deal fell through at the last minute, and we were, a little devastated. But then we found this place in Lakewood, and now we couldn't even imagine going back to the other spot. Like it probably would have been a disaster if we picked that spot instead of the place we're at now. So everything happens for a reason. It's why we try not to force things. We kind of let it come to us and just try to make smart decisions. I guess it's a smart decision's probably not opening a barbecue restaurant and quitting your well-paying corporate jobs, but it's been a ride, and it's been successful so far, and we love it. We couldn't imagine going back to how it was before.
Shane Vidovic joining me here on the show, co-owner of the Proper Pig Smokehouse. So talk to me about that, Shane. How do you guys decide that? Because I'm assuming a lot of you guys had normal full-time jobs in whatever field that you're in. How do you go about deciding who's leaving whose job first, and how you all end up leaving? I mean, you're I think the last one to cave, if I'm not mistaken, and you are now in full-time. So how does that whole thing work out?
It was kind of a deal where Ted wasn't really super happy with his job, and I was pretty happy with my job. It wasn't like get me out of here type deal, but for Ted, he was ready to move on.
Yeah.
And so we said, hey, we're making enough money. You take the first leap. And then we didn't have to, I never collected a paycheck until I went full time. So we were able to take my part and reinvest it into the business. And that's how we were able to, get this restaurant with little to no debt. And that's, you watch Bar Rescue, or you watch any of these other reality restaurant shows, and these people sacrifice their entire life savings for it, and we didn't want to do that. That's not how we wanted to go in. We wanted to go in smart and in a good financial position, so that we didn't have to you don't have to worry as much. You could take a little bit more chances. You know what I mean? So for him, I think it was easy. The hard part, and then when I decided to make the decision, every decision we've kind of made on the business is, we look at the numbers. We come from a corporate background. The numbers normally don't lie.
Yeah.
If we think if we look and see that we could sustain it, then we can make, we presented it to our wives, of course, who are the bosses anyway. So, and, I laid out a good case, and she was like, you know what? If you don't go for it, it just doesn't make sense.
Really?
We have skills in other positions, so we figured if it doesn't work out, we'll just go find other jobs. I guess it's what it is. It's a gamble, but hey,
in regards
we're not opposed to that.
Shane, in regards to location, and you said you love the place where you're at right now in Lakewood, and Fairview Park might have been a disaster, but aside from the rent, which would probably be astronomical, if you could, would you go right next to Mabel's Barbecue on East 4th Street if given that opportunity?
No, I don't know that we're if that's our thing. You know what I mean? I don't know that.
Would that be too much saturation of barbecue?
It would be great to be able to serve 800 people a day or whatever, but we're fine with serving what we serve. It's we'd love to do a little bit more, but it's I don't know. I just don't think that that's what we would want to do. We like to have a small footprint. We like to where we could talk to people and get around and see everybody. And it's it's a business. Don't get me wrong, but we like to be able to put our personal touch on it. We like the simplicity that we kind of have in our place.
I had Doug Trattner in from Scene, and obviously the best-selling New York Times best-selling author with Michael Simon. So he's obviously got some type of a personal interest in seeing the success of Mabel's, but definitely seems to be unbiased when it comes to barbecue in Cleveland. Has nothing but great things to say about Proper Pig as well. Do you feel any type of competitive juices with Simon's Restaurant? I mean, you guys opened literally within days of each other, and I think a lot of people thought that was going to hurt you guys opening a restaurant a barbecue restaurant, no less, right after Michael Simon did. And, he's bringing in all these big names, and all you have is, me using social media to help you guys out, which was probably huge. What was that time frame like for you guys? Were you shitting in your pants a little bit, or were you just like, hey, let's bring it on, and our stuff is good?
Oh, we shit in our pants every day because we're still trying. We still know how we did it. But no, I mean, come on, that's Michael Simon. He's good for the city. He's a great guy. I mean, we've been to Mabel's a couple times, and they treat us very nice over there. It's that's one of the things that drew us to the Texas barbecue lifestyle is we were in Austin. We ate at 10 places in 3 different days. And, Aaron Franklin tells us to go try this barbecue place. Wayne Mueller goes and tells us to go to this barbecue place. We're competitive. We want to always do the best we can, and we want to be the best, but we don't want to be the best at all costs, kind of. And the more barbecue becomes relevant in a city, the education gets higher, and people will understand what's good and what's bad, and they'll come to our place because they don't want to go to another place that isn't as good. And not everybody could get into Michael Simon's place, and it's not really a competition at all. It's more of a, did we ever think, oh man, wow, we opened the same week as Michael Simon? Maybe for a second, but at the end of the day, you're not stopping that. So we try not to dwell on we try not to dwell on stuff that we can't control. So we just kind of sucked it up, and we did the best that we could good, and we smoked, as well as we could, and we did our recipes, and we hope that people like it. That's all we try to do.
You guys are running the Fast Eddie pellet cookers in the restaurant right now, and you're
Yes, sir.
serving, I don't know, what is it, 300, 350 pounds a day? I mean, you're selling out all the time.
Yeah.
Adding the smoker, and I think this is important for folks that are looking to get into opening up a barbecue restaurant. It's not just as easy as throwing all this extra shit in the back of the kitchen that you want. There's codes, there's issues, depending on whatever city you're in, and you're kind of experiencing that right now. I mean, it seems easy enough just to buy another cooker, double capacity, and help everybody out in positive ways, but sometimes the city wants to be a little bit difficult in helping you do that, right?
Well, like in our location, for example, there's apartments above us. So, they have to look out for the safety, and that's what we care about too, is we don't want to put anything in there that could be a danger to anybody or go against code or anything like that. That's what drew us to the Cook Shack Fast Eddie smokers, is they're super safe. Like, we had to, that's what we put in the truck originally, and we didn't want a huge bomb parked in our driveways or wherever we were cooking and catching on fire and then blowing up. So it's something that we learned. It's not always easy. I mean, to add this second smoker, to add a bigger hood costs another $10,000 or so. So it's not cheap, but it is what it is. I mean, people get a little upset at us when we sell out. It's not Austin where you expect the barbecue places to sell out. Around here, they're used to barbecue places that are you might be using 3-day-old ribs or whatever, So it took a little bit of a time to educate our customers, and we need to have another smoker to keep it going. We don't like when we sell out. It actually makes us cry a little bit on the inside, not only because people get a little angry and we're losing out on money too.
So, I mean, what's the struggle like when you guys, I mean, I guess you could see it for the first couple days. It's new, it's sexy, everybody wants to be there and say they had it. But, we're months and months removed away from where you guys started. And, just this past weekend, you're posting pictures of the Michael Phelps pissed off face saying, hey, we're sold out again. How do you try and rectify that, but not put yourself in a position where it could negatively impact the business?
We can only do what we could do, I guess. We're adding the second smoker. That's about all the capacity we could put into this restaurant. We'll never be people that are reheating meat from 2 days ago. Like, we would rather people get pissed off and sell out than compromise the product that we're putting out. It's just not what we believe in. So if it comes to that point, well, I guess that's just how it is. I mean, Aaron Franklin sells out every day. He seems to probably sleep well at night. Do we like it? No, but people are paying us money. We don't want to give them crap on a plate. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is. And I think let me tell you this. The restaurant phone is my cell phone. So everybody that calls into the restaurant is calling my personal cell phone. So I answer the call. So I have to tell them, we're out, we're running low, that kind of stuff. And, I think it would be easy to hide behind a voicemail or an answering machine or something like that. But I think that I want to talk to the customer and I want to tell them like, hey, we're getting low. Don't come up. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I don't want them to be disappointed when they come in. I want them to be excited. But I also don't want them to say, oh, you're out of brisket. We don't want to come in, because they could try our turkey, which is probably our best thing that we cook. And, I hope to get them in there and try something new.
Shane Vidovic joining me here on the show. Shane, one last question here before I let you go, and I appreciate the time. When I was talking with Doug, we had the conversation of, is there a Cleveland style of barbecue? And I think Mike Simon tried to make a case for that. Doug seemed to think that you can have that argument. You can say there is a Cleveland style barbecue. What do you think? I don't think you can, actually. I think there is a maturity that needs to take place. There is a staying power that needs to take place, whether you're bringing an Austin style up here or not. I do tend to believe a little bit more of what Daniel Vaughn had to say about that than what Doug had to say a little bit earlier here in the studio.
I think like the stadium mustard sauce that Michael Simon's using, I happen to like it. I've grown up on stadium mustard my whole life. But, as we learn, as we kind of get more experience in this, I think it's going to evolve to our own style kind of. But, at least Ted and I ourselves, we're not going to try to force anything. I think just like in our business in general, things need to come organically. We find in our lives that if you push stuff, maybe you're doing things too early or you're doing things too late. We just want things to come organically to us. So, I don't think that somebody set out in Austin and said, I'm going to throw a bunch of salt and pepper on this meat and this is going to be Texas barbecue. I think that probably happened over, 50 years, 100 years, and I don't know that there's a Cleveland style barbecue right now, but it doesn't mean that when I'm old and gray that we're not going to be having a talk and say, hey, when you come to Cleveland, you're getting mustard sauce. Cause I think that's a cool idea. Or maybe it's smoked corned beef or something else. I mean, Cleveland has a lot of the same immigrant history as like in Austin or somebody like that, where we have a lot of Europeans that immigrated here. So it's very similar in the sausages and stuff like that. But as far as barbecue goes, from what we're learning in our business is people are all over the map. Some people think that ribs should fall off the bone covered in sauce, and other people think that, they're used to a more brisket being made more like a traditional Jewish type thing where it's, very thinly sliced, stuff like that. So we're finding that maybe there's so much opinion on barbecue up in Cleveland for it not being a real traditional barbecue city.
And that's the worst. Like, everybody's got an opinion on something they're not experts about.
Well, yeah, and it's impossible to win. We just hope that we could satisfy more people that are upset with what we're doing. We try to do the best we can, and that's all we can do.
Unsolicited menu item from John Dawson of Patio Daddy-O Barbecue. Here you go. You can thank me later. Pulled pork pierogies.
Oh, that actually sounds awesome.
Yeah.
We know a woman that we work with at the Flea called the Pierogi Lady, and she makes awesome pierogies. So we may have to do pulled pork pierogi, or maybe we need to throw like a brisket pierogi in there with some onions and pickles or something like that.
No doubt. Yeah, absolutely. So that'll be like a weekend pop.
I can't get off the phone without giving a shout out to my man Tim down in Taylor, who does our sausage for us. Like that's one thing that makes us pretty unique in Cleveland, is that we do import all of our sausage from Austin, and Tim's doing an awesome job down there. We got the jalapeno cheddar and the hot links, and I know he's been on the show before.
Yep.
He told me to tell you. He told me to tell you that you called him Mike the whole time when you talked to him.
I know. Oh my God! Well, now hold on a second. In all fairness, I think maybe once, maybe twice. I mean, Tim McKeska, show friend, no doubt about it. But yeah. I can't say that I didn't call him Mike. But Jesus Christ, I mean, you look at his name and Mike just jumps out. I have no idea why it is. He even owned up to it. He said it happens all the time. But
yeah, I guarantee that it does.
Yeah. But, I mean, Tim McKeska is one of the sausage-making legends of ever. And from a sausage-making family legend forever, for real.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, they're about as old as you could get in the barbecue business. Like, especially in a historic city where, like where Louis Mueller is and everything down there in Taylor. Like, he's a good partner to have in the barbecue game, and we're hoping to get down there next year to go check out his operation and everything. So maybe we could do a BBQ Central show from Central Texas. What do you think?
I'm down if you're down. Absolutely.
Yeah, we're going to start doing some barbecue classes over at the shop too. So we're hoping that maybe we'll get you over there and you could give a little review of us.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're talking with Shane Vidovic. He is the co-owner of the Proper Pig Smokehouse, Lakewood, Ohio. Shane, always appreciate the time, continued success, and maybe you'll see me sooner than later for some barbecue.
Yes, sir. Hey, thanks for having us on.
You got it. There he is. Shane Vidovic, again, the Proper Pig. If you're here in Cleveland, go to Mabel's, go to the Proper Pig, or go to the Proper Pig and then go to Mabel's. You're going to love either. I'm a little partial to the Proper Pig just because I'm a little more tied into the ownership group. I stopped in there last Friday or Thursday or whatever it was. I'm talking to Shane's co-owner, Ted, catching up, talking about sausage and barbecue sauce and all this other stuff. He's like, hey, you want me to make you a tray to take home? I'm like, oh, no, I couldn't possibly. He's like, you sure? I was like, hell yeah. So good. The brisket is just freaking awesome. And the turkey is ridiculous. I believe it. The turkey is their number one seller. It's so good. You won't believe it. Let me talk to you quickly, folks, about the Pit Barrel Cooker. That's right, gang. If you are like me, sometimes pulling the trigger on a new cooker can be nerve-wracking. You got temperature control, you got fire management, what woods to use. Who needs the hassle? How about this? I strongly suggest buying a Pit Barrel Cooker. That's right. The Pit Barrel Cooker makes cooking simple and fun, and it just might be the most unique, versatile, and easy-to-use cooker available on the market today. Imagine a single cooker that turns out the great traditional barbecue meats like brisket, pork shoulder, and ribs, while also being able to ramp up in temperature to do those burgers, chicken wings, and hot dogs. The versatility, all thanks to the revolutionary design that goes beyond traditional convection. Their hook and hang method places the food in the center of the heat, so it's acting like a stationary rotisserie. The result, great tasting, perfectly cooked meat each and every time. We call that consistency where I come from, pal. Not only is the Pit Barrel a fabulous cooking vessel, it's an aesthetically sexy devil as well. Built to withstand heat, its new porcelain enamel finish. The Pit Barrel is able to withstand any type of weather. Extremely portable. Fits in the back of most SUVs, trucks, and vans. It's ready to go wherever you are. Of course, all barbecue folks love accessories, right? That's right. The Pit Barrel Cooker doesn't disappoint here either. From unique rubs and the removable ash pan to the pit grips, the turkey hangers, the hinge grill grates, a full line of accessories to really complete your Pit Barrel experience. The best part, $299. That's right, sub $300. The Pit Barrel comes fully assembled, ready to cook, and ships free to your door. Don't take my word for it. The folks at AmazingRibs.com have given the Pit Barrel Cooker a top 10 rating in their gold division. That's the highest rating, by the way, not once, not twice, but 3 years in a row. They've also said, quote, we're running out of good things to say about this simple, affordable smoker. There's nothing else like it on the market, period, close quote. Head on over to pitbarrelcooker.com and see what everybody's talking about. Be sure to check out their full line of short how-to videos shot in high definition. Then pick up 1 or 2 or 10 for yourself. You'll thank me later. If you have any questions, contact them through their website. You can also call 502-228-1222, and they will talk to you. That's right. Pit Barrel Cooker, folks, pitbarrelcooker.com. We're back with Tim Scheer right after this. Stick around.
Get in the the smoke. Call 877-448-0433 to get on the air. Now, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show is being brought to you by the Unknown Smoker Accessories. That's right, purveyors of made in the USA stainless steel barbecue and smoker lid hinges, barbecue accessory hangers, rocket hot chimney grillers, and heavy-duty aluminum foil dispensers. The fine products from Unknown Smoker Accessories keep your gear where it needs to be, at arm's length and ready for battle. Visit unknownbbq.com/shop today. Use discount code REMPE, REMPE, for 10% off your order. That's REMPE, REMPE, for 10% off your order. unknownbbq.com/shop. All right, helping me close the show tonight, the current KCBS Team of the Year in ribs, also the maker of the Gateway Drum Smoker, a cooker that continues to gain more and more popularity on all levels of this industry. All stuff we'll get into here in just a little bit. But we race over to the hotline and welcome in the Pitmaster of Shake and Bake Barbecue, the tallest man and arguably the most handsome man from what I understand, Tim Scheer from Shake and Bake. Tim, how are you, buddy?
Hey, Greg, I'm good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous. Tim, appreciate you making time for the show tonight. And a couple different places that I want to start here. So let me be the guy that asks this. You know, if it's one thing I love on the show, it's showing my ass. So here I go. Certainly anyone who starts to get into the majesty that is barbecue, either on the competition side or on the backyard side, inevitably runs into the juggernaut that is Blues Hog. Created by Bill Arnold, obviously, maybe one of the best human beings ever on the face of the earth, and, you know, very public with the health battles and all that good stuff. Is the sale of the company born out of those struggles, or, you know, how was that conversation even broached? I mean, it's got to be potentially tough, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a tricky deal, I guess. Bill and I had been friends for, I don't know, the last 5 or 10 years, I guess, at least. But, he came to me kind of out of the blue and kind of had hinted around about wanting to do something different with this company and everything, and knew his health problems, were getting probably worse. So he came to Terry and I and asked us to take over the company for him, basically. So, and to me, that was probably the biggest honor I've ever had brought to me, and I just looked at it as a great opportunity. It was nothing I had planned on doing. I really went after myself. It's just something that came, and we accepted the opportunity, and we've just been doing our best right now to continue on Bill's legacy and with the sauce, and try to carry Blues Hog to be the best that it can possibly be.
You have Gateway Drum Smoker kind of fostering, growing, really seeing a large amount of success here, especially over the last handful of years. And then, you're presented to join a huge brand, especially in the competition scene like Blues Hog. Is there ever worry between, you and your wife about, can we devote enough time to both to continue to grow and move them ahead? Or, what is that conversation like between you guys?
Well, yeah, I mean, I got to be honest with Greg, it wasn't the best timing. I was on a landscaping company, and we had just developed these drum smokers, and just had a ton of stuff going already, and the competition barbecue, we were hitting that pretty hard already. But it was one of the things that it's such a great opportunity for us. We couldn't say no to it. And yeah, we've had to rearrange our lives and what we do and where we spend our time and stuff like that. And we'll probably have to do that even more in the near future as far as, next season and stuff like that too. But yeah, it's definitely one of the things we've had to juggle. It's been so far so good, I guess I would say. I mean, I feel like we've been making positive strides with the brand. Things are going pretty well with it so far. So hopefully we can just continue doing what we do like I said, just carry the Blues Hog brand and Bill's legacy, and just continue that on and make it even more than it is now, and carry his his passion and his love for barbecue and what he did, and just try to spread the Blues Hog love, basically, is where we're at right now.
Is this going to require a physical move for you guys at all? Or are you going to be able to kind of ingest everything and still work out a home base where you're at right now?
Yeah, we had just built a new facility for our landscaping company and our barbecue store and everything, so we're pretty much okay on that. Running out of room quickly, I will say. We've partnered with our co-packer here, which is just about 45 minutes from our home base, basically. So that's worked really well. We made that move, I guess, last summer, and they have just been awesome. They've everything top notch. Great people up there, and great quality is what they've been cranking out for us, and they've just been a really good partner to work with, and that's made it a lot easier, for us taking on this big of a deal. Without them, I'm sure we couldn't have, done what we've done so far.
Tim Scheer joining me here on the show, Pitmaster of Shake and Bake Barbecue, also GatewayDrumSmokers.com and BluesHog.com if you want to check it out here while we're talking. Tim, barbecue seems to have a shelf life to a certain degree, or at least it did. Blues Hog comes on the scene and, quite frankly, hasn't even stuck a pinky toe out the door yet as far as what people like to use. How do you explain the success and the staying power of this product, seeing everything that has kind of come and gone here over the last 15 years or so?
I mean, it really is. It's mind-boggling, really. I mean, if you see new sauces come and you see them kind of go away for a while and something's hot for a while, whatever. I mean, as much as I am involved with competition barbecue, believe me, I try to stay up on that kind of stuff, and, we're trying to win, and even before we took on Blues Hog, we used it, and things would come and go also. But, the one thing that seems to be consistent is the flavor and the profile, the texture, everything of Blues Hog. It screams competition barbecue. I mean, there's no other sauce that I've found that carries all those characteristics and just continues to be, the number one sauce as far as, award-winning sauce. I mean, it's incredible, really, and all that credit goes to Bill Arnold. I mean, where and how he came up with that recipe, I don't know, but hats off to him for nailing that.
Tim, how much are you consulting with Bill still, and how much of a voice does he have in where the company is right now?
Yeah, I mean, I talk to Bill several times a week, as much as we can. He's gone through some pretty heavy, with his brain surgery and his his radiation and stuff that he just finished up. It's been a lot for him, and I'm just trying to support him and keep him focused on that. I mean, I don't want to headache him with too much of what's going on with the company. I mean, he's dying to help and get back in, and I can't wait till he's physically capable to do that, because there's, like you said, in your introduction there, I mean, he's one of the greatest guys in barbecue and stuff, that's ever been, and he's so fun to be around. He's just a blast to be with, and just being the face of Blues Hog, he did an awesome job for especially with what he had to work with.
All right, let me ask the dickhead question here, Tim, and I'm sure you've expected this because you would expect no less from me. Mm-hmm. Would you dump if Kraft or Clorox or maybe even like a Sweet Baby Ray's, came and said, "Hey, Tim, let's have a discussion. I have this empty check. How many zeros does it take for us to, bring Blues Hog over here, and maybe we don't rebrand it, maybe we kind of keep it the same, but we want to buy it from you"? Is that a conversation that you have at all, or is there no way you could have that conversation? How does that work?
I mean, honestly, it's not on my mind right now. I mean, I would, my goal is to do everything that's right for Blues Hog, and keep the high quality ingredients and keep every characteristic that Bill worked for to develop and maintain. That's where I'm at right now. I mean, we brought the production back to Missouri and devoted tons of time, Bill and I both, trying to make sure that everything was the way he did it in his kitchen, and I've been in his kitchen, making sauce with him and stuff, and that's the way we're doing it right now. And that's our goal, is just to maintain the quality and do everything we can do to make sure Blues Hog continues in the right direction. Greg, I don't even think about that. I just want to take care of my business and let things work themselves out in the future.
Talk to me about the new flavor that I'm seeing, the Blues Hog Champions Blend barbecue sauce.
Yeah, I'm really excited about what's going on with this Champions Blend. It's something we've been working on for probably about a year at least now. And the idea was to make something that's a little more well-balanced that you could use on just about everything, whether it be in a competition or be in your backyard or, something you can open the bottle and roll with. The whole trick in competition world is everybody's mixing this with that or whatever. We just wanted one jar that you could open up and be ready to use right out of the bottle. And to me, it's just it's a well-balanced sauce. I think we kind of took the good, all the good things from a couple of the other Blues Hog sauces and just hit the high spots and kind of balance those out and created a sauce that we could use right out of the jar. I've been running it on pork all year for a little over, since late last fall probably, but it's been working phenomenal. It's a great pork sauce. We've used it on ribs. It's just been, I've even used it on brisket. So really happy with the flavor of it. And, I think we're getting pretty good reviews with it so far. It's just, it's one of the sauces we want to move forward with as far as, on a larger scale and even in the grocery market. It's, like I said, it's something people can use at home or in a competition. So.
And that's what you're using, just open up the bottle and use it on your pork and your ribs?
I sure am, yeah. Pork especially, it's just awesome on pork. It's, like I said, it's got this little bit of sweet, a little bit of the smoke, and a little bit of the vinegar tang at the end, and that's, but it's not overpowering, so I think the pork still shines through, and that's one of the things that, make a great sauce. All
right, so I've given you 2 opportunities to do it. You're obviously too humble to say. Tim's using this sauce on his pork. By the way, if you're into the numbers, currently Tim #1 in pork, KCBS. Suck that. How about 9th in ribs overall? Okay. So, proof is in the pudding, right? You go to these competitions, people eat it. They're obviously liking it.
That's the way I look at it, yeah.
You don't need to say anything more than that, I guess. Why the half gallon instead of normal bottles or bigger stuff?
We've kind of moved everything in the Blues Hog line from the big glass quart jars over to the half gallon. We've done that just lately. Just easier to ship, easier to carry around. It's just, a little more user friendly basically. We still run the glass jars and the pints. I love that look for that. It's the classic way that Bill always did that and everything. But yeah, just, in those bigger jars, they didn't ship well, and they honestly weren't as easy to use. So we went to the half gallons, and then we've always had gallons as well.
Currently, Tim, you're 5th overall KCBS Team of the Year for the points race. Any thoughts about trying to bump up to #1, or could you give a shit?
Yeah, no, not really right now. I'll do what I can to try to, chase a category or whatever if it comes down to that. We've got a few contests here that are going to be for points, but we've got a lot of other things going on as well this fall. Really looking forward to our fall schedule. Actually, we're actually heading up to Washington Island, Wisconsin this weekend. That's going to be a fun contest. You get to take a ferry over to the island for the competition with your rig and everything. So that's going to be fun. We've got the Sam's Club competitions coming up in September. We've got the Jack Daniels, which is the first year that we've ever qualified for that. So I'm really looking forward to knocking that off the bucket list. And then obviously the American Royal and everything. So, it's going to be a fun wrap up to the season. I don't see myself getting in a crazy points chasing fiasco this fall, though.
Tim, my favorite Blues Hog, believe it or not, is the red sauce. Yeah. Oh, my God. So good.
Yeah.
I actually like to do, if I'm feeling really crazy, I'll go 50-50 original Blues Hog and then the red. I mean, that is a spectacular sauce. At least for me, it is.
Yeah, I think so. And that's probably been, competition barbecue 101 for the longest time. I mean, it's hard to beat that combo for sure.
Tim Scheer is the pitmaster for Shake and Bake Barbecue. The Gateway drum smokers are running rampant all over the marketplace right now. You can pick one up at gatewaydrumsmokers.com. And then, obviously, accompany that smoker with some great sauce, blueshog.com. Tim, continued success, man. Thanks for coming on tonight. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks a lot, Greg. Appreciate you.
You got it. There he is. Tim Scheer. Shake and Bake. All right. Is there any way I'm going to make this read? Of course I'm going to make it. Because I'm going to talk to you about Butcher Barbecue. That's right. Butcher Barbecue, the easiest way to step up that barbecue and grilling game. First of all, if you haven't been to Dave's new website, like in the last year or whatever, get on over there, butcherbbq.com. We all know Butcher is well known for the injections, the pork, the beef, now the prime injection, bird boosters, the open pit flavor for pork. It's all great stuff. The beef injection uses the award-winning flavor enhancers and its ability to keep your brisket juicy, combined it with what has become the competition standard in beef flavor. This is the prime injection. Available for sale right now, butcherbbq.com. Perhaps you're on the lookout for go-to rubs or sauces. You've hit the mother lode here, folks. Butcher's Barbecue has a full line of award-winning rubs. The steak and brisket rub, the honey lub, which I love, the pecan, the cherry, the triple secret private masters blend, the pecan. Come on. You know you're going to love one of those, maybe both, all of them potentially. Then you have the sauce, the sweet barbecue sauce. I love it. Nobody's a bigger discerning bitch on barbecue sauce than me. I love the sweet barbecue sauce. I do. Then, and only then, are you allowed to go over to the grilling oils and buy all of them. If you're asking which one my favorite, butter. You can use it everywhere. I use it to butter pasta. I use it to lay over steaks as they are coming off the grill to calm the meat down. On hamburgers, anything that requires butter, you can use the grilling oils on. Also comes in steakhouse and chipotle flavor. And no refrigeration, shelf stable. What more do you want? It's freaking great. ButcherBBQ.com. That's ButcherBBQ.com. Always trust your butcher. All right, we're back to wrap the show. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the BBQ Central Show.
All right, welcome back. And we got to do this like quick, fast, and in a hurry. All the way back in the first hour, in studio guest Doug Trattner. DouglasTrattner.com, his website. Great in studio. When do I ever have in studio guests? I think Patrick Paquette was the last in studio guest that I had in this house. We attempted Max Good. No. In the second hour, the co-owner of Proper Pig Barbecue in Lakewood, Ohio, Shane Vidovic, killed it. Doubling smoker capacity, hoping to not run out until 8 o'clock at night instead of 6. Dinner, pal. Oh, Shane, when are you opening for lunch? That's the question I needed to ask you. Damn it. Business lunches at Proper Pig. Also, Tim Scheer, Gateway Drum Smokers, and Blues Hog. Thank you. GatewayDrumSmoker.com, BluesHog.com. We will be back next Tuesday. The show is jam-packed. September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. And until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.